Whoa, what's going on to the hustlers out there? This the midweek hustle, week 16, do or die, start sit decisions for this Sunday. Hey, I'm here to give you some plays that can help you get to the championship game this season. Let's go and get straight into it. I'm T Will. Welcome back to the Hustle Sports Fantasy Podcast. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Hey, make sure y'all follow us everywhere. And y'all already know we here to get dubs. We ain't faking or playing this week. We in week 2 of the playoffs. Now let's go and talk power moves only. Let's go and jump straight into my risk it. This who I'm starting this week. This who I'm risking it with. DeAndre Swift, Chicago Bears. Now, speed kills, and this guy's on a burner in his last 3 games. He averaging 18 fantasy points in his last 3. He's straight up balling. And while this matchup versus Green Bay in Week 16 ain't favorable statistically, Parsons being out for the season changes how the Packers defense look to me. Division game with a lot at stake. Gonna risk Swift this week. Next up, Lad McConkey, Los Angeles Chargers. Target volume is steady. He averaging 5 targets over the last 6 weeks. Last 2 games haven't really done much in fantasy or in real life, but he has a favorable matchup versus the Cowboys in Week 16. Quentin Williams hadn't practiced up to this point to help those corners out, so go and risk it on McConkey this week. Next up, J.J. McCarthy from the Minnesota Vikings. 20.42 and 23.5 fantasy points in his last 2 games, respectively. The rushing upside allows him to be fantasy relevant, even with the roller coaster type of season. You need a QB. McCarthy has a favorable matchup versus the Giants. The Giants give up the second most fantasy points to QBs, the opposing QBs on the season. Hot streak plus favorable matchup equals a big day on the horizon. Go and risk him. Dallas Goedert, Philadelphia Eagles tight end. Y'all already know at tight end, targets equals touchdowns in disguise. He averaging 20 fantasy points over his last 2 games, 17 targets total in his last 2. You can lock him in confidently because he got a favorable matchup versus the Commanders as they give up the 3rd most points to tight ends this season in fantasy. Don't overthink it. Start your big dogs. Don't risk. Don't be scared. Start your big dogs. Excuse me. This is who I'm benching this week. Jaylen Warren. Pittsburgh Steelers running back. Now, although his volume is there, it's consistent. You could trust the work. Detroit give up the 5th least amount of fantasy points to the opposing running backs this year. He also coming off a game against Miami where Gainwell just looked better. He just looked better. And that was a favorable matchup for both of them. And then he finished with 33 yards on 12 carries. So, like I say, the volume there, he just didn't do much. I don't trust him against Detroit. I'm benching Jaylen Warren this week. Next up, Brian Thomas Jr., Jacksonville Jaguars. Look, he been on a burner the last 2 weeks. I can't front. He got 7 catches total, 153 yards total in his last 2 weeks. However, Denver give up the 2nd least amount of fantasy points to wide receiver cores over the season. And while I think Jacksonville is trending in the right direction, I don't all the way trust him in this environment just yet. It's a big game, a lot at stake. I'm benching BTJ in Week 16 versus Denver. Next up, Dak Prescott, Dallas Cowboys. Chargers give up the 2nd least amount of fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Dallas offense is dynamic. We all know that. But ever since the Romo days, you never know which version of the Cowboys is going to show up. We just don't know. And Chargers, same way. They can lock up when they need to. But I really don't trust Dak at this point of the season with that matchup. I wouldn't play with it. Other safer plays, if you need help at QB, I ain't willing to risk my playoff life on Dak this week versus the Chargers. Next up, tight end Brenton Strange from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, while the Broncos middle of the pack at giving up points to the fantasy points to tight ends, he only got 4 catches and 53 yards total in his last 2 games. He flopped me. He let me down against Indianapolis a couple weeks ago. But see, he only, with that production, he only got a total of 9.3 fantasy points in his last 2 games. That's why I'm not risking Strange with my playoff life in the balance versus Denver. I would say bench him. And bench him with the quickness. And just know, name value don't score points, usage, opportunity. That's what you want. That's what you're looking in for. Tap in, send those start sit questions on X at Hustle Sportsnet. Let me know what y'all dealing with. I can help y'all out, get a dub. My flex decision of the week. This is the move I think separate winners from the watchers. Chase Brown. I've been mentioning this guy all season. I'm going to keep mentioning him. He got a favorable matchup. You know what I mean? Dolphins, they play the Dolphins this weekend. They 27th against the run, 13th against the pass. You could definitely score on Miami. We saw that with Pittsburgh on Monday night. And with the news of Quinn Ewers starting Sunday, this game could either be a shootout or it could be over by half. But the defense present an opportunistic day for Chase Brown. So I like him in the flex spot this week. If you got him, definitely start him in that flex. Next up, my league winner energy. Now, I mentioned RJ Harvey twice in this segment and in these episodes. But this week, I'm going to go in a different direction. Same logic, though. Treveyon Henderson, New England Patriots. I said this concerning Harvey a few weeks ago. Don't be scared of the rookies in December. And here we go with another rookie who's been carrying over the last 6 weeks. Since week 9, he averaging 21 fantasy points per game. He coming off a 2-tutty game against Buffalo. He really nice. He really like that. So, hey, league winner energy if you got Treveyon Henderson. If this help you, lock in with the Hustle Sports Fantasy Podcast. This week 16. Ain't no turning back now. Don't duck the smoke. Create it. And you already know. If you sleep, you beat. See y'all at the top.